What's going on, guys? It's Zach here, bring guys another fantasy football video. So I'm just going to be sort of going over all of the last minute injury updates and everything before week 9, going over any sort of start sit questions you guys might have, and I'm just sort of giving you guys as much information as possible before these games kick off. I've got the Chiefs Dolphins game on my other monitor right now as well, so if you see me sort of glance over to the side, you'll know that's because I'm watching that game. So it looks like that game's going to come down to the wire here, 21-14 right now. It's been sort of disappointing if you have any of the fantasy stars in that game. Obviously, Mahomes has been fine, but Tua's underwhelmed. Kelsey's been bad. Tyreek, Waddle, nothing super special going on there. So hopefully we get some action more going in the fourth quarter. But that being said, let's start getting into the injury updates. So I'll start things off with the early morning games. We've got for the Cardinals a lot of injury updates. Obviously, Kyler Murray, he's not going to play this week. Probably comes back in week 10. We'll probably see him and James Conner return. Michael Wilson is also inactive in this game. So if you wanted to consider that as like a minor bump for guys like Marquise Brown and Trey McBride, I suppose you could. I'm probably looking to avoid playing pretty much every Cardinal this week if possible. Amari DeMercado is out as well. He had an injury that's going to keep him out this week. Means we'll probably see a lot of Keontae Ingram this week. If you need to, in like a really desperate situation, I could see you guys playing Keontae Ingram. I am in one league where I do need to play him. So obviously, you need to be really desperate to be doing that. You're hoping he gets 15 to 20 touches, maybe falls in the end zone. But I don't like the odds of that happening, but he will see enough work that maybe you could consider using him. Drake London, he's going to be inactive for the Atlanta Falcons. Makes really nobody in that wide receiver core is anywhere near interesting to me. Obviously they've got Van Jefferson there, Matt Collins, nobody that I want to play. We probably see more targets go to the running backs and tight ends. So I think it makes Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts both more intriguing tight end options this week. I think you can play both of them. Justin Fields, he's not going to play for the Chicago Bears. It was never really in doubt that he was going to miss this week, but he could return in Week 10 on Thursday Night Football in a really gross Thursday night matchup between the Bears and the Panthers. So unfortunately, we got to sit through that next week, but it should be okay. I'm not going to see any Justin Fields this week, though. Brevin Jordan, Robert Woods, and Dameon Pierce for the Houston Texans, they're all inactive. So at the running back position with Dameon Pierce out, we should see a lot of Devin Singletary. They'll sprinkle in Mike Boone as well. I think you can play Devin Singletary. It's a tough rushing matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've got a really good front seven, so I'm not super excited about that, but he will catch some passes. He's good enough. You can use him if you need to, but again, like a really low-end running back option, just not something that I'd be excited about. With Robert Woods and Brevin Jordan out as well, I think that does make guys like Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz more intriguing. Tank Dell is probably a solid flex option. Dalton Schultz, I think he's coming on strong lately. I think he's a top 10 tight end this week. I'm probably playing him if I have him, unless I've got a better option. For the Rams, Puka Nacua, he's going to suit up this week, but Matthew Stafford will not. So we're going to have Brett Rippon be at the quarterback position for the Los Angeles Rams. Obviously, downgrades Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua significantly. Puka's like a low-end flex play for me. You can play him, but obviously he's coming into the week banged up. They've got Brett Rippon at quarterback. I'm not excited about it at all, but I could understand if you want to keep playing Puka here. Cooper Kupp, you're playing him, is still a wide receiver too. I think that's totally fine. But this offense isn't going to be great by any means this week. So I think in general, I'd be looking to avoid playing the running backs or any ancillary pieces as well. But again, with the running backs, I've talked about guys like Keontae Ingram and Devin Singletary. So I do get it if you need to play one of those guys. Devontae Parker, he's going to be out for the New England Patriots, as is obviously Kendrick Bourne, who left last week with a torn ACL. I think that makes Demario Douglas a reasonably actually appealing flex option, especially in PPR formats. I've got him in a DFS lineup as well. I think Demario Douglas is actually looking like he's going to be a relatively decent player for the Patriots. And I think if you want to flex him, you certainly can do that. So keep that in mind. I think that's going to be super awesome. I think Demario Douglas is going to really sort of get more involved as the season goes on and certainly be a guy that improves. Joel, thank you so much for the $1 donation. That's super cool. I appreciate it. Hopefully you're all set for week 9. Hopefully we can get you some wins. But obviously, if you've got any start sit questions too, I'm happy to help you there. Outside of that, let's see what else. Curtis Samuel, he's going to be inactive for the Washington Commanders. I think that in general, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. I'm not super excited about this being a game where the Commanders need to throw the ball a ton. I think they'll probably end up winning this game a little bit less pass-heavy than they've been in the past. But Jamison Crowder is like an intriguing DFS option. Obviously, he's a guy that performed really well last week on only 23 snaps. We could easily see him be more involved this week with Curtis Samuel out. But I do think that Curtis Samuel being out does probably make Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin a little bit more intriguing. So you can look at those guys if you want to. I think Terry McLaurin's still a wide receiver too, but other than that, I don't think that means a whole lot. Yeah, that's rough. Joel had a touchdown for Mostert sort of saved today. I've got Kelsey in a couple leagues too. It's been really rough, but I've got Mostert in the league as well that I've been hoping for something there. But At least he hasn't done a whole lot, and it looks like they're sort of phasing out Mostert a lot as well. We're seeing even more of that timeshare. We're seeing a lot of Jeff Wilson and a lot of Salvon Ahmed as well. So I sort of think this ends up being Devon Achane's backfield when he goes back in 2 weeks, but we'll see what happens there. Getting into the afternoon games for the Carolina Panthers, Laviska Shenault, he's going to miss this game. DJ Chark, he's questionable. I think he's going to play in this game, but I don't think that really means a whole lot. I think really what we're looking at here in this situation is that I think you can actually play both Jonathan Mingo and Adam Thielen. I'm actually pretty excited about Mingo getting more involved this week. A guy that I actually like as a player. He came on and played the most snaps of any Carolina Panthers wide receiver last week. Certainly a guy that you can use if you want to, and I think Mingo is actually a quality option in DFS as well, so keep that in mind. On top of that, for the Panthers, we are going to see both Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. Obviously, the coaching staff came out and said that Chuba Hubbard is going to operate as the starting running back. It's not a huge shock after what we saw last week. It's basically what happened. Obviously, I'm not playing Miles Sanders by any means, but I don't think I would drop him just yet. I think you can also play Chuba as like a low-end option. He's right in that same range as guys like Keontae Ingram and all that. So you can use them if you want to, but I'm probably avoiding the Panthers backfield if I can this week. Josh Downs, he's questionable. He did practice on Friday. He was limited in practice on Friday. I think he'll play this week. It's a relatively plus matchup against the Carolina Panthers. Their secondary isn't great, but my concern here would be that the Panthers just give it up on the ground so much that the Colts can run on them all game. Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor could both have huge games, and if that happens, then you might be looking at a situation where the Colts only throw the ball 20, 25 times, and that makes Josh Downs obviously less appealing. So I think I'm probably going to be leaning towards sitting Josh Downs if I can this week, but he's been good enough that if you want to play him, especially in PPR, you certainly can. Next, we've got the New York Giants. We've got Tyrod Taylor and Darren Waller both being placed on IR yesterday. Obviously, that's something that isn't going to be great for the overall offense. Tyrod Taylor, not necessarily as big of a deal. Daniel Jones will be returning this week. With Darren Waller out, I think that there is opportunity here for Wan'Dale Robinson to get involved as like a low-end flex play. I think you can play him, but they play a really bad run defense against the Las Vegas Raiders this week. I think you'll just see a lot of Saquon Barkley this week. I expect a huge week from him. And if you want to like stash a guy like Jalen Hyatt, I think he's certainly worth rostering at this point. We've seen him get more and more involved and be on the field a little bit more lately. He's a big play waiting to happen. I really do like the talent of Jalen Hyatt, and if anyone's going to be a player that emerges as like a true like breakout fantasy player on this team, I think it's going to be Jalen Hyatt. He's got 4 weeks to prove himself, really form a relationship with Daniel Jones, and I think he's got an opportunity to do that, especially against a mediocre secondary in Las Vegas. So you could consider using Jalen Hyatt is like a really deep league flex player, a DFS option, but I think he should just be rostered and stashed in general. Joel, you said you've got the Giants D. Do I think they're worth playing this week? Yeah, I think they're totally fine. The Raiders are by no means a scary matchup. I think that you'll probably see a little bit less turnovers than we saw with Jimmy G. Jimmy G's very turnover prone, but I do think Aiden O'Connell probably turns the ball over at some point this week. I don't think that's really a situation where you get completely burned. The Giants defense has been playing really well lately, so you can play them for sure. I think I actually would prefer the Raiders defense to that just because I think there's a really good chance that Max Crosby makes something happen, and obviously we're looking for sacks and turnovers and all that if we're playing fantasy defenses. So if they're for whatever reason available, I think I would prefer the Raiders in that same game, but I think you can play both defenses and they're both pretty safe there. So certainly reasonable. Let's see what else. For tomorrow night's game between the Chargers and the Jets, Josh Palmer got declared out yesterday. I don't think I'm going to be wanting to play any of the like ancillary pieces for the Los Angeles Chargers. I think obviously Herbert, Eckler, and Keenan Allen, they're all in your lineups. And if you want to play Gerald Everett, you can. But the Jets defense is just really solid. They don't give it up to the pass to the opposing wide receivers. Quentin Johnston's interesting. I think he's going to be more and more involved as the season goes on, and he does need to be rostered. But I don't think I want to play him. It's just a bad matchup, and even if Josh Palmer had played, I wasn't going to play him anywhere either. So I think I'm probably looking to avoid that. For tonight's game as well, Joe Mixon, he's listed as questionable still. Sounds like he's going to play. I'm not really worried about him at all. Josh Allen also missed a lot of practice this week, but he'll be playing as well. I think they're both going to be full goes. It's not something that I'm concerned about at all. And I think that's about all we've got here. Yeah, that looks like everything. So that being said, if anybody else has any specific questions, I'm happy to help you guys. I'll sit around for another minute here or so in case we get any other questions. But otherwise, hopefully you guys are all set for week 9. Should be a fun slate of games. We've got like a really high-end game in every single slate or every single time frame this week. We've got obviously the Chiefs and Dolphins going on right now. We've got a really fun matchup in the Seahawks and Ravens at the earlier morning games. And then we've got Cowboys, Eagles. Then we've got Bills, Bengals. So should be a good day of football. Super excited about it. Joel, that's nice. Olave and Wilson are both going to be solid this week. I really do think this is the week Olave breaks out. I know I've kind of said that several times, so we'll see if that happens. But I really do just think that it's going to be something that Could be this week. I know. A lot of people are impatient with him right now. He hasn't quite gotten it done. Oof, looked like Mostert was about to break one there. But I know Olave's got a really plus matchup this week against the Chicago Bears. They obviously play a ton of man defense. Olave's been getting open. He's first in the NFL in air yards, first in the NFL in deep targets, seventh in targets overall. He's going to break out at some point. Sooner or later, one of those deep throws is going to kind of connect, and he'll have a 50, 60-yard touchdown, and it'll be really great for him. So I do think you just got to keep staying on the flames to Olave. It's going to get better for him. And obviously Garrett Wilson, he's been getting so much volume lately, and against the Chargers defense, you can play him for sure. Cool. So yeah, I think that'll be about it here. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. If you guys can always just comment on this video or any other video. If you guys have any specific questions, you can message me on Twitter as well. I can help you make sure you get your lineup set as well, so that we get everything set before the games kick off this morning. So appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'll catch you guys Tuesday morning. You guys with the waiver video. So thanks, guys, and good luck this week.